Hi, I'm Peter Brusso with 101 Small Business Mastermind, and that's our podcast. We haven't been on for a little while, and welcome Frank Syringa, my buddy.
Hello, Peter Brusso, my other buddy.
Our podcast, right, as we talked this morning.
Yes, we talked this morning, right.
By the way, real good meeting with your group there this morning. Lots of great ideas. We ought to be filming that or something, you know?
It was, you know, you mentioned that in our meeting this morning, and I wish there was a way we could do a broad view of, in this case, there were 5 of us there this morning, and I wouldn't care if we saw all 5 of us in one shot, but I'm more concerned about the audio portion, because the person who's talking would be obvious because their mouth is moving, but if we could get a clear audio, would that mean an external mic?
Oh, yeah. Each person would have one, or there'd be one located in each one, but I'm not so sure. I don't know. Maybe
no, if we had a mic in the middle of the table between the 5 of us, would that be able to pick us up?
Well, the ones on the far end, not as much as the ones on the good end.
Okay. Well, maybe could grab the mic, but they do anyway. Yeah, but I think it'd be a great idea to be able to record it. Like I say, it's more important the ideas matter rather than the close up of the person. It's the verbal part that was really good. Some good stuff.
The other thing that we could do is talk about it, make good notes and talk about it and make a podcast just for that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. Because there was a lot of good stuff today. All right. And we could film it and make sure we understand that these are bits and pieces that we wanted to remember too. Not that we'd ever use the film other than just to remember things.
Right.
Okay. It could be done by the cell phone, et cetera, et cetera. Okay. Anyway, my A block, here we go. I've been looking and to help people, consult with some people. This last week was pretty heavy. I went through 4, and I want some lessons really jumped out at me, and that these people did not comprehend things in many ways, and then they postured themselves to look ridiculous, in my opinion. So person number one was connected with a product from China, herbs, that he got hooked in with, and he took this particular plant with, to a place in Ontario, California, that would formulate it and put it in a capsule, package it for him, and he could sell it. And unfortunately, he had a laundry list of everything it does, including track sunspots, which really distracts. That goes back to the snake oil salesman approach, which was the first indication he did not know how to market that properly. All the studies that he, double-blind studies that were done, were all done in China. No real data on that. So, I mean, it sounds good, but it may not be so good. So anyway, but and I was playing hardball with him, because I usually do in some cases, well, most cases. I'm hard on myself and be hard on other people as well. So the one thing, and you can kind of hear his spirit getting knocked down along the way, and about 4 times through this hour conversation, I said, I think his name was Scott. And I said, Scott, you should feel proud of yourself as an entrepreneur. You found a product, you made it into a commercial grade product. He wants to go in biopharmaceuticals, and what he's got to go through for that. He's got a nice label. He's got a website, not too bad. And he went out and he's selling to boutique stores. So he's already, as an entrepreneur, gotten off the dime and did something. And after he's been doing these things, he learns that he needs help in here and help in there. But this morning I mentioned this in your meeting, and you said, this is the appropriate point, Frank, to talk about dreams.
Me?
Yeah.
I thought you were quoting me. You're going to keep quoting me.
Oh, no. You said, people don't do stuff because they dream. So, talk about your wife buying a lottery card and the dream.
Yeah. Dreams are wonderful. Dreams are fun. Dreams are invigorating. Dreams are exhilarating, invigorating. They give you endorphins, which make you feel just very, very good. And I used to think of my wife when we were shopping. There was a sign at the register that says that the lottery super something or Super Bowl, whatever the thing is, was
Powerball.
$530 million. She says, I got to buy a ticket. I said, okay. So she gave her $2, and we came home, and she had to say, oh, it has my lucky number. Well, I don't even know what her lucky number is, but it was, you know, you have 10 numbers, and one of them was a lucky number, so I had it in there. And she spent the rest of the evening and the next morning talking about what she would do with the money if she won $500-some million. And I looked at her, and she was having a ball with this. And she was giving money to this charity and that, and helping this animal cause and this veteran thing and that type of thing. She was animated, and she felt good about herself. No, she didn't win a damn thing. She didn't win $2 back. But I was thinking about what a fun thing to do with dreams. Dreams make you feel good, and just having something to look forward to. And the statement I made was that if they can't afford it, I wish people on some kind of assistance programs, if they could afford the $2 once every 2 weeks or whatever, just buy a lottery ticket, and then spend the next time between that and the number comes out, what you would do with the money. It gives you excitement in your life. But you and I deal with this when we work with our wannabe entrepreneurs or entrepreneurs. Dreams don't pay bills. Actions and results pay bills.
Correct.
This gentleman had a dream, and he took action. Hopefully you'll get him to the results.
Well, and that's what I always say too about, oh, I'm hoping it's going to work. I hope I win the lotto, right?
Right.
I always say hope is the name of a street to a city called nowhere.
There you go.
It just doesn't happen. You've got to have a plan, Stan, you know, and overcome these obstacles. And so one of the big lessons that came out today in our meeting was, you know, you've got to take action. You've got to overcome the obstacles. And there's more than one way of skinning a cat. I don't know where that colloquialism comes from. I'll have to look that up. But an entrepreneur solves problems. They're problem solvers. And they just keep moving forward. And they don't hope they're going to win. They know they're going to win. It's just the next hurdle I got to get over, you know? Got to be persistent with that. And I think in some cases, because we don't have a clear idea of what it is we really want to do, we come up with all these fears to stop us from doing it because we don't know where we're going. I read a story once where our astronauts go to Venus, and they're trained to, they have a vehicle that comes down, and with radar and IR, they can navigate and don't fall in canyons, right? Because of the atmosphere is so dense. So they land there, they roll the vehicle down, and the whole system stops dead. They don't know where they are. If they move 10 feet forward, they're going to fall in a ravine and die. So we don't go because we don't know. And unless you get a plan out there, you're not going to get over that fear. And it's always going to go back to Hopeville, you know, a city called nowhere. And so one of the big takeaways, I would think, take each obstacle and figure out ways of overcoming it. Talk to your friends, talk to this, and, you know, et cetera. Don't stop. Just work the issue. Ask for advice. But keep going forward towards that dream. And maybe the dream's not the right one in the beginning, but it will start to turn itself to the right one if you're going to keep moving along this line. But it'll never happen if you stay still.
How many dreams did Thomas Edison have to go through before he flicked a switch and it went on?
Well, that wasn't dreams. Those were that was technology, but it was supposedly 9,999 ways of how not to build a light bulb.
But each time he had a dream that it would work. That this next one, number 332 was
an indication. You know, I'm in my hydroponics, and I lost a whole bunch of plants, and I wasn't sure why, but then I figured out why, and I wouldn't have known this and changed my entire system towards something that's better had I not planted the darn plants, even though I lost them.
But you would not have known that without taking an action.
Correct. And to ponder it, to look at it, to research it, figure out a way around it, and see what really is working. You know, there's things that really are working here. That particular system just has a flaw in it. And so anyway, those are kind of things. The second person I want to bring up too, he's got this product, supposedly, and he paid a bunch of scientists to have reports done and research done and all this stuff and patent pending. And I read all this stuff, and there's documentation, and he was making statements that just were wild and weren't actually true. So I went to do the idiot test. So here's one of the things. You make a claim like, something doesn't exist in the real world after minus 20 degrees C. And when I can go on Amazon and find a product that's the same damn thing for $8.32 at room temperature or above, you haven't done your homework. You haven't done any competitive analysis. And so I asked actually to see his patent pending. Turns out he doesn't have one. And he has no assets, no patent pending, and he's asking for millions of dollars from investors. So I'm going, nobody is going to lend that kind of money just on a wish. And so I did a huge amount of research. Is it possible that we can put him into a patent pending situation with just an idea? And the answer is yes, you can. It's intellectual property rights. It's called a
Provisional.
non-provisional patent first. A provisional patent is what they call it, provisional patent. And the one that, the real one you want is a non-provisional patent. So provisional patent being a possibility to get that. And so my counsel was, in fact, take your IP and try to get into a situation where you can get a provisional patent and call it a number. That's an asset. That's something, and change your marketing to not make these outrageous claims and do a competitive analysis of where the marketplace is today. So you can defend any of that, because people aren't going to lend you money without looking into your idea or your product. And is it real? Or am I buying a snake oil, a bottle of snake oil? So that's my other story.
And I brought this up in our meeting last week and this week, and I may bring it up on a regular basis, maybe once a month. Most people with dreams are looking for that little blue pill that they can take, and in 20 minutes, 20 minutes they're ready to go. The Pfizer.
$5 million overnight. Yeah.
Right. The fact is, it takes work.
Oh yeah.
It takes work, and it takes a lot of work.
Oh yeah.
And you will do it for a while if you're curious. But the minute you come across an obstacle, you'll say, that's not going to work, and I'll do something else, which is where most people reside, 97% of people. And
they're never confident about themselves either. So that fear and confidence thing is really important.
But the 3% that do go do it, and by the way, not only successful, but 3% that do take action, they have a couple of things. They love what they do, what they're doing, or working on, and they become obsessed with it. So an obstacle is just something they got to get out of the way because they can't stop if they wanted to. They're obsessed. Obsession is a good thing in this case. Steve Jobs, Schultz from Starbucks, Bezos with the Kindle stuff, they were all obsessed with something. So if you're like this guy, with the second gentleman you talked about, he's curious, he's interested, he's trying to make a fast buck. Which is fine. Okay, he ain't going to make it with my money or many other people's money either. But if you're obsessed with something and you have a reason why you want to do this, you'll either find a way or you'll make a way to make it happen. And we're going to talk about that in my meeting, my thing today. So,
well, that's about what I have to share.
Super.
Let me see what we have here. Let me see. How about? So I had this all booted up, and somebody decided they're going to call me, and I'm going to swing over for the speaker view. You got it, Frank.
Okay, yeah, we're going to call that the breaking news segment. Breaking news, and we're going to change the name. We changed the name from the Twin to the segment is now called Why They Make Millions and You Don't. And I have a video that's going to tell the story. Let's go to the video. In this video, we are going to discuss why Emily Nunez Cavanis makes millions and you don't. Who is Emily? Well, here are 5 stories that will tell you all you need to know about Emily Nunez Cavanis. Story number 1. Military values. Emily was born in West Point, New York. Why West Point? while Emily's father, retired Army Colonel Joseph Nunez, taught political science and international relations at the academy. And Emily and her siblings grew up in a military family. When you ask Emily to reminisce about her childhood, Emily remembers Thanksgiving as turkey, pumpkin pie, and eating dinner in the mess hall with West Point cadets and members of the military. Emily considered the cadets and the military as part of her family. That was the good memory, because then Emily remembers how she felt when she learned about two types of military surplus. The first was what happened to the uniforms, parachutes, tents, etc. when they were no longer needed. They were burned or they were buried. What a waste, she thought. Second was how veterans had difficulty finding meaningful employment when they left the service. She felt that these veterans were treated like they were military surplus. What an insult to our veterans, she thought. Emily remembers thinking, as a child, there must be a way to find value in military surplus and to treat returning veterans with the respect they deserved. Let's jump forward a few years, and Emily attended Middlebury College in Middlebury, Vermont. Now, Middlebury College is a very liberal-leaning college in Vermont, which is a very liberal and progressive state. So how would a child raised in a military family adapt to this liberal atmosphere? Would Emily change who she was just to fit in with her classmates? Hardly. Emily enrolled in the Middlebury ROTC program, and because of the liberal nature of Middlebury College, it was no surprise that Emily was the only student enrolled in the Middlebury ROTC program. So did being the only student in the ROTC program bother Emily? Not at all, because this was something Emily believed in and something Emily wanted to do. But being enrolled in ROTC meant that on weekends, while her classmates were partying at night and dealing with the hangovers in the morning, Emily had to set her alarm clock to wake up at 6:30 in the morning because she had to drive 1 hour each way from Middlebury, Vermont to Burlington, Vermont to attend ROTC classes and training. As you will see throughout these 5 stories, Emily lived her life by what I call the 3 Ds: dedication, determination, and discipline. Do you think her military upbringing had anything to do with that? But as dedicated, determined, and disciplined as Emily was, she knew there was something missing to get her from where she was to where she should be. She didn't know what was missing, but she was convinced that she would recognize it when she saw it. And wow, did she. As you will see in story number 2, which is called Aha Moment. In her senior year, Emily Nunez Cavness, an ROTC cadet ready to become an officer, attended a talk sponsored by the college. The speaker was a Ms. Jacqueline Novogratz. Ms. Novogratz is the founder of Acumen, a nonprofit venture fund dedicated to addressing global poverty. And it was during her talk that Ms. Novogratz said something that changed Emily's life forever. She talked about a company that used recycling as its business model. That was the statement. A company that used recycling as its business model. That one statement stunned Emily as if she had just been hit by lightning. Her mind went into overdrive. That phrase kept repeating itself in her mind. Recycling as its business model. Recycling as its business model. Of course, she thought. So, what is the one thing I know that should be recycled? Emily went back into her childhood and thought about military surplus. What if the military surplus could be recycled? What if I could create a company that recycles military surplus? Emily thought. That could work. But her mind did not stop there. Well, what about the plight of returning veterans? Well, then this company would hire the veterans and give them meaningful employment. And her mind went back to the military surplus. What could I make out of military surplus that my classmates would buy? So Emily looked around the room and noticed that most of the students attending this lecture had a bag of some sort propped up next to them. She says, well, I could produce attractive bags out of military surplus that would appeal to my peers. And that's when Emily realized that she had stopped listening to the speaker, but she didn't care. Her intuition told her that she was onto something very, very special. And whenever Emily needed to bounce something off someone, she always did the same thing. She would call Betsy. Who is Betsy? Well, we'll tell you who Betsy is in story number 3, which is appropriately called Betsy. Betsy Nunez is Emily's older sister and her best friend. Betsy was living in Boston and working in sales and marketing. Betsy was always Emily's go-to person to discuss her ideas with and to help her determine if her ideas were crazy or not. Emily trusted Betsy to give her sound advice. So Emily in Middlebury, Vermont, calls Betsy in Boston, Massachusetts, and Emily starts the conversation by asking, Betsy, what if we could turn a surplus ROTC tent into a stylish tote bag? Now Betsy knew from the moment she said hello that Emily was excited about something. So Betsy responded, Emily, why are you asking me that? That's all Emily had to hear, and did she open up. Emily told Betsy about the presentation, where the speaker talked about using recycling as a business model. Emily then talked about military surplus that they both remember when they were living at West Point. And then Emily talked about the problem veterans had finding jobs when they left the service. And then Emily talked about the opportunity to turn military surplus into stylish bags. And Emily went on and on and on until Betsy finally said, Emily, I've heard enough. I'll drive up to Middlebury this weekend because I have many questions. So that weekend, Betsy got into her car and drove 4 hours from Boston, Massachusetts to Middlebury, Vermont. Emily and Betsy met at a local coffee shop. And after exchanging the niceties, Betsy did her Betsy thing, which Emily knew she would. Betsy grilled Emily about topics such as raw materials, production, pricing, sales, marketing, line extensions, on and on, question after question. Well, Emily, knowing the type of questions that Betsy would ask, had all of the answers already prepared. But then Emily added one more thing that pushed Betsy over the edge. She said, Betsy, we will insist that whichever contractors we work with to produce these stylish bags, they have to have a hire a veteran program in their business or we will not work with them. Betsy then said, Emily, I've heard enough. Let's do this. So Betsy and Emily, meeting at the coffee shop, agreed to spend Emily's senior year creating a business plan. And when that business plan was completed to Emily and Betsy's satisfaction, they both felt they were ready to start their company and go raise money to fund their company. They named their company Sword and Plough with a great tagline, repurposed with a purpose. Emily and Betsy went out and recruited a team of people with complementary skills to execute their fundraising campaign. And they decided to use Kickstarter with a firm launch date of April of 2013. But a few hours after putting their team together, something happened that could have destroyed all of their plans. Emily received a notice from her division headquarters that she was going to be deployed to Afghanistan in 3 months. just when they were going to execute their fundraising campaign. So for the next 3 months, Emily would be training for her Army deployment. But with Emily being Emily, remember the 3Ds? While she was training for her deployment and whatever free time she could find, Emily was working on their Kickstarter campaign. So how did the Kickstarter campaign go? Well, we'll tell you in story number 4, which is called Kickstarter. It is now April 2013, the Kickstarter launch date. The team was ready, the team was anxious, and the team was excited. The time was now to push the go button and launch their fundraising campaign. They had 2 goals with this Kickstarter campaign. Number 1, they needed to raise $20,000 in 30 days to fund their first production run. And 2, they asked their friends and any investors to buy a bag so that they would have pending orders on the day they opened up their new business. Well, their Kickstarter plan did not go as planned. It went even better. They met their $20,000 goal in the first 2 hours. And in the allotted 30 days, they raised $312,000 and had orders for 1,500 bags. To say their team was excited would be an understatement. They were on the way to great things. Nothing could stop them now, except for the fact that shortly after their very successful Kickstarter campaign and the beginning of their first production run, Emily had to fulfill a prior commitment. We'll tell you about that in story number 5 called Afghanistan. As planned, Emily, the co-founder of Sword and Plough, was deployed to Kandahar, Afghanistan. But Emily did what Emily always did whenever she came across an obstacle to achieving a goal. She did not let those obstacles stop her. Whenever she had time and a reliable internet connection, Emily would communicate with Betsy and the rest of the team via Skype. But it was during one of their more productive Skype meetings that the inevitable happened. Without warning, Emily terminated their Skype connection. Emily's post was under heavy mortar fire. But such is the life of an Army officer and co-founder. But it was not all that bad. Shortly after that mortar fire incident, something happened that made Emily very proud and brought tears of gratitude. Emily received a package from a name she did not recognize. And inside the package was a handwritten note from a Vietnam veteran telling Emily how impressed he was by Sword and Plough's commitment to helping our veterans. Also included in this package were some black and white photos of himself and his friends in uniform, some home-baked cookies, and a deck of playing cards. This brought tears of joy and gratitude to Emily's eyes. This confirmed that what she and her sister Betsy were doing with Sword and Plough was correct. Because even though Emily was in the desert, thousands of miles away, somebody she had never met was moved by what they were doing. Upon completing her deployment in Afghanistan, Emily returned to the U.S. to join Betsy to grow Sword and Plough. So where is Sword and Plough today? Well, today they have 77 employees, and sticking to their objective, most of their employees are veterans. They're running at about an annual revenue rate of about $4.5 million. Here is a list of the veteran-focused charities that Sword and Plough donates 10% of their profits to. Very impressive. Plus, here is a list of the veteran-owned and veteran-friendly contractors that Sword and Plough work with. Equally impressive. And in 2015, Emily and Betsy were named to the prestigious Forbes list of 30 under 30. But let's hear from Emily and Betsy directly.
To my friends at Sword and Plough, I don't know how I stumbled upon your website, but your whole company is absolutely amazing.
You sell beautiful products that you stand by 150%.
Really just want to let you guys know how moved I was by the background of the company. My dad served in the Navy in Korea, and my grandpa served during World War I. Sword and Plough is an incredible way to honor their legacy.
You have a larger purpose and vision than the bottom line. I will be a lifelong product lover. Thank you.
Receiving letters from our community is what gets us really excited for each day.
We work with veterans to repurpose thousands of pounds of military surplus into fashionable bags for men and women.
Then we donate 10% of our profits back to veteran organizations.
We focus on Made in USA manufacturing. We focus on empowering veteran employment, repurposing waste, being a sustainable company, and really creating a fashionable quality product. The woodland camo outer body on the dom.
We are sisters.
Definitely very close and each other's best friends.
We grew up on military posts. I'm active duty in the military, and I remember seeing these huge piles of military surplus and wondering what happened to them, and finding out that oftentimes it's burned or buried and wasted.
Emily turns and looks at me and she says, "What do you think if I were to take one of my tents and turn it into a tote bag?"
And that's where it all started.
Running a small business is definitely difficult.
Hello, welcome to the Holiday Inn.
There's so many different things that we're trying to juggle.
And we've been traveling a lot.
We have about 5 or 6 boutiques to stop by. Just this past week alone, we've been in New York, DC, Denver. I think it can be draining being on the road sometimes. We definitely enjoy the breaks and the moments where we're able to relax before the next big thing.
Thank you. It's so great to know that there is a hotel out there that we can count on.
Some of the boutiques are just right over here.
It's an extension of our team and a support system.
Good afternoon, Betsy. Your samples are here.
Knowing that there's a hotel that's really looking to help small businesses succeed is an incredible feeling. Let's do it.
We're not just a handbag company. We have this incredible social mission.
We work with American manufacturers that employ veterans.
Oh, wow. Veterans are such empowering assets to communities.
Thanks a lot.
Yeah, it's so nice to be able to see you. I think it's been an incredible journey so far. Our goal really is for Sword and Plough to become a really strong American heritage brand.
Holiday Inn. Together, let's make your next journey extraordinary.
So what can we learn from Emily that will improve your chances of making millions? Well, just like each of the previous 80+ people that I have talked about who make millions and you don't, Emily has these same 3 characteristics. Emily is unapologetic, Emily is unforgettable, and Emily is irresistible. And that is why Emily Nunez Cavness makes millions and you don't. There you go.
All right, very cool. That's pretty awesome. When they said,
She's an impressive lady. Well, both her sisters are very impressive ladies.
yeah, no, I'll have to look at their website. By the way, I'll need some links from you, to add show note links. The chocolate chip cookies were cute because my mother sent me chocolate chip cookies when I was in the Army. We were all excited to get them. Opened up the box, they were all crumbs. They had been just rattled to death, smashed. But hey, crumbs taste good anyway.
Right.
Love that. And the other good thing that was bright that they did was a business plan. And we've talked about that a lot. People don't do business plans because it's not fun, but it's something you have to go through to prove that you're going to have a viable business,
Well, they knew they had to raise money to pay for the production run because they didn't have the cash to the $20,000, and no one will give you, unless you're famous, no one will give you $20,000 unless you have a business plan.
Right.
It's not going to happen, and so they did it, but they had a story too about the veterans and the military surplus, and I'm sure that had to touch people.
I hope so. As a veteran myself, I for example, there are businesses in town that give veterans a 10% discount. You just don't know who they are.
There you go.
So you have to ask each time.
Right.
Carl's Jr.'s 10% off if you're a veteran, but you got to ask each. And there's no plaque there. There's nothing. And all of us veterans have ID cards, so it's like you're not going to fake it. Home Depot does it too, as well.
And now you got to question why they wouldn't promote that. Is that because people say, "Well, my father's a veteran, and I'm going to take it home to him because no."
I don't know. And I like to shop at Winco, and they don't offer a veterans program at all. And it just seems odd that to me, it sounds like a lot of people are saying a lot of things about veterans, but they ain't doing nothing. You know what I mean?
Right.
So, but the other fact that she deployed, I mean, with all the gear and stuff that she sees, she had certainly an inside track of all the stuff that we throw away, after we're done or obsoleted,
Yeah, and actually the term she used was burned and/or I assume machinery must have been buried or something, but that didn't make sense to her, and then I said she created the bags. But I also liked when she tied the disrespect of veterans, that they were treated like they were military surplus, no longer needed. Right? Thank you for your service. Goodbye.
Yeah, hit the road.
Right.
Well, and then most camps and bases have a burn pit. I just throw everything in that burn pit and burn it.
Really?
So, well, absolutely.
I didn't know that.
And a lot of the people that tended those burn pits have got CPOD and all kinds of other stuff, and the Veterans Administration won't even listen to you. Wow. It's like they finally got around to saying Agent Orange was bad for us, and, so, but, we have to fight so hard all the time. And, we signed up to serve. We didn't sign up to get sick,
Right.
I mean, we get shot and killed. We knew that that's a possibility, but a lifelong issue, so these people, I'm gonna have to go look and see what I can buy. That's a very cool story.
Yeah, she, and they're not. What I like about when I found them, I don't know how I found them, by the way. It must have been some magazine article. They're just regular two young ladies. Okay, I mean they're not Tony Robbins kind of people or that type of thing. They're just people who cared about what they and we talked about that this morning for the first time in a meeting. When Emily went to Middlebury, a very liberal school in Vermont, a very liberal state, she says, I love the military. I'm going to support the military. I'm going to join the military. She would walk, and I didn't put this in the video. She had to get dressed to go to the ROTC training, where she had to drive an hour each way to Burlington and back. She had to wear a uniform. People would say, oh, are you in a play? What's that costume you're wearing? Didn't even recognize that it was a uniform. That's how out of touch they were. And she says, oh, no, I'm part of ROTC. I'm going to, that type of thing. She was proud. And you knew she was going to do great things when she faced her peers and said, this is who I am. Take it or leave it. Loved it. I loved it. Loved her attitude.
Yeah, well, if you're in the military, not so much in my day, but you do get to learn about the Constitution, and you do get to learn about the Bill of Rights or the Declaration of Independence, which is more important because it's 28 things, I think, that, we were telling the king, we don't want to be around with you anymore because you sent the Indians to kill everybody, and you got to stop that kind of noise. And, of course, you saw that Facebook cut out that part of the Declaration of Independence because it wasn't politically correct.
Yes, it was.
But it was historically correct that we faced these types of threats.
Well, I guess the term I like, they use a lot on TV now. Freedom is not free.
It never has been.
There is a cost.
We lost 58,000 people in the Vietnam War. We lost, I think a little less than 1 million in World War II. But, I mean, just like the Bataan Death March, I think they lost 14,000 people marching from one camp to another.
Wow.
And it's just, the Battle of the Bulge. I think they lost 12,000 in the first 2 days, and we lost 4,000 in Iraq total in 10 years. I meant
What about D-Day? What did D-Day cost us?
Now, I don't remember what D-Day cost us, so you should look that up, but it wasn't cheap. As a matter of fact, did you know that there was a D-Day pre-invasion a year ahead of that? Did you know that?
Did not know that.
They sent Canadians in to land on the beaches, and they all slaughtered, all of them.
Wow.
Nobody knows that either, you know? So yeah, we have forgotten the magnitude of World War II. And if you balance that against all the other, what they used to call it SOLIC, Special Operations Low Intensity Conflict stuff. Of course, can't say Iraq was that or Afghanistan was that, but you know, we really don't lose as many as we think we do in comparison to World War II or even World War I for that matter. You know, the magnitude is not there. It's not balanced.
It's tough. And when you say lost, it's lost forever.
Oh yeah, the national treasure.
It's lost
blood
forever. What did we not gain because they didn't last long enough to do something when they came back?
Well, Holland was so thankful for our involvement in World War II, they made it a national requirement. Every person in Holland will learn Dutch and English because we played such a role. So, I mean, it just it's heartfelt when you see stuff like that, honor these, you know, 17, 18, 19-year-old boys, you know, landing on a foreign beach and getting murdered.
Boys, I love, you're right, that's the term, boys.
I was one of
boys.
Those boys too.
Yeah, you
can't die at 18, 19, 20. You can't die. Come on, let's go. You know, thank God. That's why old men send young men to war.
Right. Anyway, so that was Emily Nunez Cavnes.
Oh, right. Very good.
Yeah, and her husband, Cavnes, obviously, is their married name. Her husband works at the company. So.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it's pretty neat. Pretty nice kid. Again, they appear to be nice kids.
Where's the company located now?
I think it's headquartered in Pennsylvania, Carlisle, Pennsylvania.
Oh,
yeah.
I'll look them up and see.
Yeah.
Maybe I can grab a couple more videos on that too.
Yeah.
All right, that's about what I have. How about you?
We're done, sir.
Right, say goodnight, Frank. There's no dick here.
Good night, Frank.
All
Thank
right.
you.